The Bible is a living word that reads us as we read it. It's a person, a voice that proves that time is not linear, as one sentence can confirm the past, guide the present, and declare the future. You are here. I am here. He is here. We are here right now. In the tomorrow of yesterday and in the yesterday of tomorrow, I thank you for joining today. Well, hello there. I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad to be back myself. Last episode, we talked about Abraham and Sarah. They had a name change. God reminded them of the promise, let them know that, specifically, let Abraham know that the child that he was going to fulfill his covenant through would be the child that Sarah, who was barren and unable to have children, but God, right? Sarah was going to be the one. She was going to have a son. They were to name him Isaac, which means to laugh, and that would stand. That's who the covenant would be fulfilled through. And so, before God and the two men that were with him, which were actually angels, before they left, God kind of pulled Abraham to the side and just wanted to fill him in on some things that were going to take place. And so, they were looking out over these towns, Sodom and Gomorrah. We talked about them before in previous episodes. Now, these towns were the towns that Lot found himself in, Lot being Abraham's nephew. And y'all remember when Abraham, like, he fought against these kings because Lot was kidnapped and he went to go get him? It's, and, it was when he was living in Sodom. So anyway, after he was rescued, clearly he went back to Sodom. And so that's where he's living at the time. But God let Abraham know it's so much wickedness going on in these towns. Like, there are outcries that are being made against Sodom and Gomorrah, and I'm going to do something about it. If the wickedness is for real, if what's being said is true, I'm going to take care of that. And so Abraham was like, "Oh, okay. So would you really wipe away the righteous with along with the wicked? Like, what if there are 50 righteous people that are living there? Like, would you really destroy them along with the wicked people? Like, that don't seem right." And God was like, "All right, cool. So if I can find 50 righteous people in Sodom, I'm not gonna wipe it out." And Abraham's okay, like, all right, so what about, what if I come up five short and it's just 45? And he's like, all right, cool, 45, I'm not gonna wipe them out. If you find me 45 righteous people, I'll spare the whole city. That'll preach. But find me 45, I'll spare the whole city. Now, this whole time, Abraham is like reducing the number. So he goes, okay, what about 40? Did I really say 40? I mean 30. And he drops all the way down to 10 people. What if there are 10 righteous people? If there are 10 righteous people in the land, you're going to destroy the whole like city. And God is like, nah, like if you find me 10 righteous people, I'll spare the entire city. Now, I'm going to put a bookmark right there and say this. That's grace, first of all. And it also makes me wonder, in the day and age that we're in and some of the things that we are seeing take place, and I'm talking about the wickedness that we are experiencing and seeing, I wonder if the only reason that God has not completely and utterly destroyed the US right now is because of a few righteous people. It's something to think about, but I'm so grateful for his grace and his love. Okay, going back. So God's like, all right, bet, find me 10, I'll spare them all. Next thing you know, these angels are going in and they're about to, go into Sodom and Gomorrah and just really survey like what's going on. Clearly they didn't find 10 people because of what's about to happen. But when Lot saw these two men enter the town of Sodom, he greeted them. He's like, "Oh, yo, like, what's up? Like, come to my house. Y'all stay at my house overnight. I'll take care of y'all." Like, So these men went and they stayed with Lot. He was very hospitable, fed them a feast, and was just all right, cool. Y'all can just like kick it here tonight because it'll probably be safer for y'all. And so while that was happening, it said that all of the men, young and old, went to Lot's house and they were like beating on the door, like, yo, Lot, we saw them men, like, what's up? Like, what's going on? Like, let us get a little piece of that. And send them out here. We just wanna, we wanna talk to them. And Lot went outside and he's like, yo, these are my guests, man. Like, nah, I'm not even about to have all that. Like, that's bad on my name if I let anything happen to them when I'm the one that invited them to come and stay with me. And these clearly Lot is outnumbered because it said all of the men of Sodom, young and old, went and were trying to get at these men. So when Lot's out there, he's trying to like negotiate. He's like, I have two young daughters who's never been with anybody. Like, I'll send them out here and you could, you know, just do whatever you want to do with them, but like not these guys, man. Like, nah. And so the dudes are getting real agitated. Like, bro, you're a visitor in our land. Like, how you gonna come in here? Nah, you're not gonna be withholding goods from us. And so they threatened him, like, we'll do even worse to you than we would have done to them. And so meanwhile, these angels, they pull Lot in, they close the door behind them, bolt the door, and they end up blinding the men. And they let Lot know, like, are there any other, like, you got people out here? Like, is there anybody out here who you need to let know that they need to get out of here because we're about to sweep this whole town? So Lot told his daughters, he had two daughters and a wife, but he told his daughters' fiancés, like, y'all need to pack a bag. We about to get out of here. Like, we gotta go. And the fiancés, they laughed. They thought that Lot was just joking. And I don't know what kind of jokes Lot used to tell because I don't know that I would have thought that was a joke, but they were like, oh, like, no, for real, we good. We're gonna just go to sleep, whatever. I don't know what they did, but they didn't take them seriously. And so the night passed, morning came, the angels were like, yo, it's time to go. Y'all need to go and you need to run for your lives. And Lot was hesitating for whatever reason. He was kind of dragging his feet about the whole thing. And the angels actually had to take Lot, his wife, and his daughters by their hands and like pull them and like snap them into reality, like pushing them out of Sodom. Like, if you don't go, you're going to be destroyed along with the rest of them. So the angels gave them instructions like, run for your life, run to the mountains, don't look back. And Lot's like, not the mountains. Like, can we just go stay in this village, or this little small village over here, called Zor or Zoar, whatever, we'll call it Zor. Um, the angels are like, all right, whatever, like, you can stay in Zor, but just get to getting. So they take off running, and when they're on their way, when they make it to when they're on their way to the small village, God starts raining down fire and sulfur and is like destroying Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding towns. And Lot's wife turns around and looks back at the towns as they're being destroyed. And immediately she becomes a pillar of salt. Now, there are a lot of reasons that theologians believe that it was a pillar of salt that she turned into. And I will give you the freedom to do your own research. Some say it's because salt was a preservative at the time. They didn't have refrigerators like they do now, so they would use salt to preserve their meats and goods and things. Some say it's when a nation or a town is a wasteland, it would be a lot of salt. They would like fill the land with salt. And so for whatever reason that it was salt, that's she died as a result of looking back. And that'll preach right there too, because there are things that God is gracious enough to rescue us from. And we literally, if you think about Lot's wife, we literally find ourselves getting stuck in the memory of things that were never good for us, getting stuck in that fondness that we had for the things that were killing us inside, killing us spiritually. And that's what happened to Lot's wife. So Lot's wife is a pillar of salt. Lot and his two daughters were kicking it in Zor, this small village, and eventually they just moved to a mountain and started living in a cave in the mountain, which is where they were told to go to begin with. But they ended up moving to a cave in the mountains. And one day, the oldest daughter was like, "Yo, sis," she's talking to her sister. Um, you see any men around here? Like, there are no men around here, and Pops is getting old. So if we're going to save the family name, if we're gonna preserve our family line, we gotta have a baby by dad. Like, so that's what they did. They ended up waiting until he was drunk, like drunk. And the oldest daughter one night, she went in without him knowing. It said that he had no awareness of when she laid down or when she got up. But the oldest daughter went in while her father was drunk, got pregnant, talked to her sister, and was like, "All right, your turn." So the next night, they got Pops drunk again. The youngest sister went in there, laid with her father, and she got pregnant too. So they both had children by their father. And he didn't even know that it went down the way that it went down. But the oldest daughter, she had a son named Moab. And that's significant because in the future, we're going to talk about a, a people group called the Moabites. And Moab is actually the ancestor of the Moabites. And then the youngest daughter, she had a son, and his name was Ben Ami, but he was the ancestor of this people group called the Ammonites, which we will talk about some more in the future. But yeah, we'll talk about them some more in the future. But yeah, so that's some of the family drama that took place, and just it's incredible because sometimes just being in the proximity of wickedness, like when you grow comfortable in wickedness, it can impact a lot. So we have to be very careful how we guard and protect ourselves. It's like, "Oh no, I don't feel that way. I don't believe that way. I don't," you know, um when we're around things that are not good for us, because it can have a drawing impact. We saw before that he settled near Sodom, and the next thing you know, he was drawn to actually live in Sodom. And now we see how his daughters seemingly have been impacted by the wickedness that was taking place in the land, and deceived their father in this way. So we will stop there. That was just a pivot from the story of what was going on with Abraham and Sarah. Um, so I just wanted to share that with you because it's in the Bible, and it's relevant when it comes to the Moabites and the Ammonites. But we'll pick up again talking about what's going down with Abraham and Sarah. And thank you again for your time. It's always a pleasure. I'm excited to talk to you again next time if the Lord wills. Till then, bye for now.